Hey, sports fans, it's your favorite program of the week, Athletics Chat, and this is number 49. And that good-looking guy in the blue sweater, Stuart Weir, in the intellectual capital of the world, Oxford, England. And, of course, I'm in the prune capital, Silicon Valley, San Jose, California. And, Stuart, greetings and salutations. And we're doing this a little bit earlier because, I was away in Vegas. And yes, next time I go, I'm going to give you part of my winnings, okay? 5 to chance.
Right.
Okay? All right. Okay. So, how are you doing today, kind sir?
I'm doing fine. All good.
How was the visit to the pub?
It was very good. We were sitting outside, which it wasn't that warm, but until the middle of May, if we go to a pub, we have to be outside.
Okay.
Then from the middle of May, a limited numbered inside.
Good. Did you have a pint of Guinness?
I'm more of a wine drinker, so I had a glass of white wine.
Oh, good for you. Are you a Pinot Grigio person? Or are you
No, I would be more of a Sauvignon Blanc.
Oh, there you go. Okay, well, another reason why I respect you, Okay.
Thank you.
We've got a long list of topics today.
Yeah.
You want to start with the World Relays preview, my friend?
Yeah. To me, I've been to the World Relays the last 2 times and really enjoyed it. But I think there are 2 problems with the World Relays. First of all, this year, the Americans have not sent a team.
Yeah.
Britain has sent a small team. The Jamaicans have not sent sprinters. So it's a bit of a devalued event. Its value in a way is for those teams who have not qualified for the Olympics. They have a chance to get a wild card for the Olympics and for next year's World Championship. Sure. But when you think about the sprint relays, you think USA versus Jamaica, with Britain possibly trying to get something better than the bronze. But none of those are in the sprints this year.
Yeah.
I think another thing, which certainly one of the leading British coaches has said to me, that having the World Relays in May doesn't work that well, or because it's early season. It would work much better as a kind of September end of season fun event. Because certainly when I was at it last time, some of the British athletes were saying is we don't actually want to push ourselves too far because it's so early in the season, we're not quite sure that we're ready to go flat out. I don't know. The World Athletics will tell us it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. But I think when you look at the fields, when you look at those who aren't there, I think it'll be quite average this year.
I went to 2014. That was the last event I went to with the late James Dunaway, our editor. And I thought it was a fun event. I thought it should have stayed in the I thought there should have been a permanent place in the Bahamas for it. Because the weather was lovely that time of the year. It brought more people out. And I love Poland. Do not get me wrong. I would go to a track meet. I would be at the meet in Silesia right now if I could. But they still haven't opened Europe up to people with my kind of passport. I am terribly disappointed that USATF did not send a team. But more importantly, I'm terribly disappointed in the way that it was announced, the lack of commentary from USA Track and Field. And while I really, for the most part, I'm a big supporter of USA Track and Field, I just don't think this was handled well. And it's not something that I'm going to tell them to rot in hell about, but I am just disappointed. I think that as the most winning track team in the world, USATF doesn't lead as much as it should. It follows, and I don't like that. But that's my partisan feel there. I hope the event goes off. I'm going to watch it and try to do some remote interviews and things. And I'll watch the press conference on Friday. But yeah, it's just, it's the question will be, kind friend, is the event in Silesia and the lack of enthusiasm about it because pandemic, or is it because the event isn't as well defined, or because it's too darn early? What your British coach said about, are these guys ready to go all out? Heck no. And in cold weather? Heck no. The last thing you want to see some guy do, some heavily muscle sprinter, is tear a hamstring in the middle of May, So it's very interesting, but we will have to see. We wish them luck. You want to do a Tokyo update?
Yes, just one thing to add to that. You see, I'm not sure whether I would be allowed to go, because I'm only allowed to travel at the moment if it's essential. And it'd be quite hard for me to argue to our government that me going to Silesia is essential.
Yeah.
Two other things. Poland is currently in lockdown. And
wow.
Guess what happened at the last event which took place in Poland, the European indoors, which seemed to go quite smoothly, but 40 athletes at least caught COVID. So, I'm sorry, World Athletics, but I probably think that those who have chosen not to go may be doing a sensible thing.
Yeah. No. I think that side has got to be played too. And while I think that's why the U.S. did it, I just thought the way that it was announced, it was a little frustrating.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, speaking of frustrating, so yesterday I did a little thing on the 5 things we know about Tokyo, and it give me a little bit of update, and then I'll read my little thing there. What do you think about it right now?
There have been actually 2 developments this week. One is that Tokyo has been put into deeper restrictions because there's a sort of a holiday week called Golden Week starting this weekend, running for a week. And they have put on short and intensive measures, strengthening steps relating to eating establishments and temporarily halting the flow of people. So basically, all restaurants are closing early. Gyms are being asked to close. Small businesses are being asked to close. So that's what the government is doing. Then something reached my desk today this is a joint statement from the IOC, the IPC, and Tokyo 2020, plus the governments of Tokyo and Japan.
Okay.
And some of the detail is very interesting. All participants in the Olympics will be required to take 2 COVID tests before they are allowed to fly to Japan. All athletes and those close to athletes will be tested daily. All games participants, which I'd imagine would include media, will be tested daily for the first 3 days on arrival.
Wow.
All games participants must write out an activity plan in advance and must stick to it. So there's no spontaneity. You can't suddenly decide that you want to go to the swimming or you want to go to the basketball if it hasn't been in your plan. All games participants must not use public transport. You're not allowed to use public transport. And there's this great phrase, you must in principle eat only at the limited locations where COVID-19 countermeasures are in place, such as the games restaurants or your own hotel's restaurants, but you should not be going out to. But I don't know what the in principle means, because you either do it or you don't do it. You don't in principle do it. So it just stresses what we have said regularly. This games, if it goes ahead, will be like no games ever seen before. And the final point is they say they will decide in June whether Japanese spectators will be allowed, and if so, to what, in what numbers.
No, it's I do like your the semantics that you play with some of the words. You know, in principle is lovely. That covers all manners of sin. But yesterday I wrote 5 things we know about the Olympics. First one was the Olympics in Tokyo will be compromised due to the pandemic, but most of all, the lost in translation issues between the IOC, LOC, and Japanese government. These guys, the IOC has taken obtuse comments to an art form. The only people that are more difficult to understand is a press release from the Vatican, where both liberals and conservative Catholics think, oh, the Pope is supporting us. It'd be really nice if these guys would communicate well, but they don't. 2, lack of foreign fans will cost billions of dollars. The article you and I talked about recently, the Japanese said between 10 and 23 billion, and I got that broken down. It's because of ticket sales, food, souvenirs, hotels, and taxes. Okay, so they're going to lose their shirts. You know, the third one, it could be the largest TV audience in Olympic history if NBC, the U.S. broadcasting group, opens all media and allows sites like RunBlogRun access to increased traffic numbers. What happens over here is we are told we can only use stuff that NBC allows. We can't, and there's going to be, if NBC continues to do the thing that they do, which is they do this pretend live stuff, it's going to be in the newspapers before it's shown up on TV. And what they should do is just open all the sources, let any platform use it, get their numbers up. That's what it should be about. 4, the Athletes Village. You and I have talked about this before. It is a petri dish of human petri dish, and it could be a super spreader. Brendan Foster, your great Olympian in 1976, got the flu and then diarrhea, got the only medal in track for Britain that year, and a bronze in the 10, and then came back and finished 6th in the 5. And every Olympics we hear about people getting sick in the Olympic Village. Is this going to be any different? You know? And then 5, my belief is if the IOC truly cared about the brand, they would move Tokyo to 2032, cancel 2022 in Beijing, and move the Olympic brand straight to Paris in 2024. It's going to take us a while to get back. It's just a fact of life, and it's frustrating to me and to you, people who absolutely love the sport, but we wonder, my gosh, what's really going on? You know, and and I still think 2 things are about to come. 1, I think all media but NBC affiliated folks are going to be told to stay home. And I still think there's a possibility the Olympics will be canceled. Now,
I agree.
You know, and I just don't.
Yeah.
It's sad. I absolutely adore the Olympics. This would have been my 10th to write, 7th or 8th to be with. I was hoping to get to 12, but I'll have to be 94. But maybe we'll have those space boots that'll take us around then. All right, so Drake and Eugene, pretty hot this last weekend. What did you think?
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just pick out some of the things that impressed me. We're talking about the difficulty and the dangers of running too fast early season. So unfortunately, Shawnee Miller didn't get the memo. She went out and ran 49.08.
It's
in 400.
Absolutely amazing, isn't it?
And then you think of poor old Jess Beard, who ran a 50.38 and only came second.
Yeah. It just and it was in the rain, wasn't it? Cold in the rain.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, from a British point of view, it was great to see Cindy Semper, who has, of course, starred on your Socially the Distance,
Yes.
running a PR of 12:57. Now, don't forget that she was fourth in the Rio Olympics, then had the most horrendous injury the following spring. And I know if you'd asked me any time in the last couple of years, I would have thought it's just not going to happen, that she will get back to where she is. But for her to go out and run a PR 12:57 was really quite amazing. Laura Muir winning in 4:01:54, which is a bit slow for Laura, but she did win by a country mile.
Yeah.
Interesting that Jenny Simpson was ninth in that race.
Yeah.
Again, running her first race since Doha 2019.
Wow. Yep. That's
And you see, I think this is something you have to keep saying. Like Michelle Carter, only 1694, but again, first competition since Doha.
yeah.
And a good run by Kirani James, 44:88, first competition since Doha. And so there's all these people who, for various reasons, haven't competed. And I mean, Christian Taylor, the 18-meter jumper, I don't think he's got to 17 meters this year yet. He was second at 16:52.
Yeah, it's seasonal best.
Yeah. But I mean, Gemma Reekie, beaten by a British athlete in the 800, Adele Tracy by a hundredth of a second. I mean, Gemma seemed to be controlling the race. There was a pacemaker. Gemma sat behind the pacemaker, led all the way on the last lap until the last 2 meters when Adele Tracy came through and beat her. And, you know, when you're thinking Adele Tracy, Gemma Reekie, Kelly Hodkinson, Lindsay Sharp, Shelena Oskin-Clark, there's 5 to start with, and only 3 of those will make the Olympic team.
Yeah.
It's an exciting time. It's an exciting time for British middle distance running.
No, and also hats off to our friend Eilish Mclaughlin.
Yes.
Who ran a brilliant 14:52, and she put in her social media feed. She was surprised she was so close to her PB, which I think is 14:43, or 14:43 to 14:46.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Eilish ran pretty darn well. I mean, that was impressive.
Yeah. Do you know something I've discovered about Eilish? That there's only one thing she likes better than beating her PR. Beating her mom's PR.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Because didn't she think when she ran that 10, she was like, oh, so close?
Yeah.
That cracks me up. No, I get a kick out of her whimsical approach on social media. She has fun with it, and there's some people that really, and that should be something we talk about in one of the upcoming ones. We'll pay attention to how people we think are doing a wonderful job on social media. I wanted to also bring up, let's see, Shawnee Miller. You know, she's got the leader in the 200 and the 400 now. Trevon Brummel is looking good. Noah Lyles is a little, you know, I don't think he's flat. I think he's just where his coach wants him to be. I'm also fascinated that Coach Lance Brauman will now be coaching Wade Van Niekerk. And that's going to be exciting to see. And Wade's last performance in South Africa was a 20:38. He'd gone 20:10 so far this season. So he's terribly fit. Going to Drake relays, I'm going to start that one off because there's some great things there that I want you to talk about. But I wanted to take hats off to University of Wisconsin grad, 4-time NCAA champion, Morgan Mcdonald, who won the 5 in a Drake meet record of 13:21:55. He led some NAU kids like Nico Young to some fantastic times. But what was interesting about Morgan is the confidence he showed. It was his first race since getting a big, a scary injury that could have been much worse in Austin. He was out on a run, and he messed up his ankle pretty bad. Got this from interviewing Will Lear yesterday, who was telling us that media should be more storytellers. He thinks that we're at our best when we're telling stories, and so I wanted to talk about the things behind the scenes for Morgan. Morgan is NCAA cross country champion, great sense of humor, and yes, since he's a Badger, I have to show some respect. So
now, just what do you say about Noah Lyles? May I quote to you the philosopher Chris Akabusi?
Yes.
Akabusi used to say, "They don't give out any medals in April."
That's true. Yeah, and that was my thing about it. We're so used to Noah winning everything.
Yeah.
And, he did one indoor performance, and it was okay. But the thing was, in having observed Lance Brauman, my thought process is this, and I've watched him with a dozen different athletes. I know a few coaches, Reno Ryder's up there too, just thinking of right now, that are capable of getting their athletes to peak as well as Lance does. And this is such a strange season. And these kids have had to train as if the Olympics was happening or the Olympics was not happening. It was about getting into shape. And the truth is, the first complete global championship we will have is in Eugene next year, because there will more than likely be fans there. There will be less of a pandemic situation. I think we're dealing with these kind of natural issues for the rest of our God-given lives. But I think that I believe that we'll come to some type of understanding about things. But this is going to be a difficult year. The lack of fans in the stadium in Tokyo will affect some athletes. Others will just shut it down, and it doesn't matter if there's grandmas out on the track cheering them on or 500,000 people, And so that's part of the challenge. But you're right. Noah's got to be ready in July. He doesn't need to be ready now. So talk to me more about Drake. What were you happy with there?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think I picked out really just some of the things. A good example of that was Sandy Morris 470, Katie Najat 460. In July they'll be doing a lot more, but it's early season, and it's a different kind of season, because as well as the issues that you were mentioning there about how the Olympics won't have many fans, people, particularly in the technical events, have not had the chance to practice the way they would normally do.
Yeah. No, it's just, although I'll tell you, that young man at the LSU alumni gold meet, Momondo Duplantis went 590. And then Javon Harrison 844, which is phenomenal. I don't know if you've ever seen a jump that big this early in the season. And that kid's he was the indoor champion at the the long jump, and I think was it the high jump at the NC indoors. But yeah, so there was and then the other one I think we should give credit to is our dear friend Shamier Little. Shamier has always been known for having this killer flower in her hair, and now she's kind of shorn the hair, and she ran fast indoors. She's gone 49.91 outdoors, and then she just ran a PB of 2:04.39, and she says she can go faster. And when she was asked about her earlier PB, she said it was so slow that she kind of jogged off the track, didn't want anybody to notice her. But for a 400-meter hurdler, she's showing the resiliency and strength and endurance of an Edwin Moses or a Harold Schmidt. So it's kind of cool to see. And then Cindy Mclaughlin has gotten two.
Absolutely, I was just thinking of her.
Yeah, 2 PBs in the 100-meter hurdles, and then she went out and ran a 51-second 400. So now, fantastic.
Now, when I'm talking to you, I always say PR because I thought that's the thing to say in America, and you keep saying PB, what we say in the UK. So it's very good how we're always talking past each other.
Do you know why I do that?
No.
Do you remember the American marathoner Buddy Edelin, who went to England to train in the early 60s with some British clubs, and said he didn't become a real distance runner till he moved to England. And, I started going to the UK in about 2006, courtesy of Mr. Stewart and Mr. Bedford, to see how things were properly done, as they told me. And so you guys have had some influence on me, but thank you, my friend. The anniversary games, one of my favorite events. So what's going on, Stuart?
Well, the anniversary games normally take place in the London 2012 Olympic Stadium. And part of the deal when that stadium was built and it was handed over to the London Legacy Development Corporation, and part of the deal was that it should be available for track and field athletics for a month every year, the month of July, basically. It is mainly used during the year by West Ham United, the professional soccer team, and the LDC, the Legacy Development Corporation, are now saying for us to convert the stadium, i.e. taking out the seats at the front and putting in a track, will cost about $3 to $4 million. And normally that cost is okay because it's split over a series of different events such as concerts and so on, which are held during July. But this year, they would be doing it solely for the anniversary games, which of course not only the anniversary games alone, but a one-day anniversary games. And so now I have not spoken to anyone. It's simply what I read, and British Athletics put out a press release. But basically, I understand that the LLDC have said to British Athletics, look, how about if we give you $1 million or $1.5 million and you take it somewhere else? So we will give you $1.5 million to do your event somewhere else, and while it's costing us $1.5 million, it's not costing us 3 to 4. British Athletics has come back and said the anniversary games is always in London. The contract says that you have to make it available. People in London should be given an opportunity to see world-class athletics. If it's the stadium in the old Olympic Stadium holds 60,000, which means that if the government allows 30% or 50%, you can get 20 to 30,000 in. Whereas if you have to take it to Manchester or to Gateshead, you won't get anything like that number in.
Yeah.
Plus, I would suspect, because it is so much easier to get to London if you're flying from anywhere in the world, that athletes would certainly be more keen to come if it's in London.
Yeah.
So that is the situation. British Athletics are saying, read the contract, mateys. You have to deliver or we will sue you. And the LLDC says we can't afford to spend $4 million for one event. So that is the situation.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
I mean, it's not until July, but equally they've got to get on with this quite soon. I mean, just to show you what's happening in the country generally, last Saturday we had the finals of one of the soccer cups, and 8,000 spectators were
Oh,
allowed to
good.
attend. That's
Okay.
the biggest number we've had so far, and the intention is by the last two weekends of the Premier League soccer, there may be 30,000. Um, and so it's moving up. So that there would be a reasonable expectation that if it were to be in London, you would get 30,000, and so you have a good atmosphere, and you may actually get more. Well, I mean, I think it could well sell out because people have been waiting to go to something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is the situation. But I mean, just to go off at a slight tangent, I was talking to Nicola McDermott, the Australian high jumper,
Sure.
last week, and she was telling me that she had been planning to come to Europe, compete in Sweden and a few other places, and then go to Tokyo. But Australia, Athletics Australia are now saying to her, we would rather you didn't do that, because what happens if you get stuck? If you get stuck in Sweden,
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
if they don't let you out? What happens if you have to quarantine going from country to country? And we really think that you should think seriously about whether you want to be traveling around Europe. And now, I presume it's not only going to be um, Athletics Australia who are thinking that. So to me, that raises a question as to the Diamond Leagues before the Olympics. How well are they going to be able to attract the
Yeah.
top athletes, recognizing that whatever you want to be doing between now and the Olympics, quarantining for 10 days isn't part of the plan?
Yeah. Because I guess we've got Gateshead on the
Yeah,
23rd,
yeah,
Doha on the 28th, and is Rome
yeah,
the next on the, well,
yes,
actually
yeah.
in Florence, or where's it?
Florence, yeah,
Yeah. On the 10th,
yeah,
right? Is that it?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and then with
And
Oslo,
then Oslo is off.
yeah.
Then you've got Stockholm on the 4th of July, Monaco on the 9th, London on the 13th, and then the Olympics. But I mean,
Wow.
I think for all of those, you'd have to say there must be questions as to whether there'll be a significant number of athletes who just think, well, actually, it's not worth the risk.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm wondering to know too.
And
Yeah.
again, I have seen that Japan are considering saying that all American athletes coming to the Olympics must come from America, all British athletes must come from Britain, so that you cannot be in Europe and then fly to Tokyo, because they're wanting to say, look, we know the situation with COVID in America, so all the American team will come, and we know whether they need to quarantine or what testing we need to do. But if we have them coming from all around the world, you don't know really what's been happening. And so I just think that I think the early Diamond League meets may not be as strong as usual.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind
Uh,
of tend to think that too. Um, what are the in Gateshead? Will they allow people in the stadium?
that has not been clarified yet.
Wow.
Um, well, because it's only from the middle. It's only from May that Boris Johnson's famous roadmap.
Hmm.
That if A happens, then we can go to B. If
Right.
we do B, then we can move to C. And so, in a way, it depends. His plan is that there should be spectators at events at the end of May, but
Right.
only if the numbers keep where they are. Where they are.
What is so talk to me about we've written about Mark Monroe, correct? The
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah,
in British
yeah.
athletics. And so I'm starting to hear over here about some controversy with the announcement of the head of coaching development in the UK British athletics. And I would have thought that in a position like that they would have put in a well-known coach who, there's global positions out there. What we hear the finalists are is Joe Coates has interviewed someone, the head of coaching in boxing. And I don't know what you've heard about it. We've commented on every position that Joe Coates has announced. We've supported some of them. We've also given some of our concerns. But sometimes, and I've seen this in the U.S., I've seen this in other federations, and I don't know what's happening here all the way, but in a generality, a lot of times when a new person comes in, they feel they have to clean everything up and out. And why clean up things? Track and field has specific movements and specific needs for coaches. Surely there are people within the coaching establishment, globally respected, that British athletics could have looked at. I don't understand that. And you know, we'll probably be delving into it shortly. Have you heard much at all?
I haven't actually heard about that, but I mean, it would follow a pattern. You know, the performance director has a cycling triathlon background. There's other people who've been brought in from netball. The two assistants to Christian Malcolm didn't have current coaching licenses. There's a lot of stuff going on. I, to be honest, tried to keep out of that, a lot of that stuff. But I mean, I mean, similarly, if you look at the field for the head coach, which went to Christian Malcolm, there were people with a lot more experience, and decision was made not to appoint them. I don't know why that was made, and so on. So there's a lot of things which are going on. And again, you know, we talked about the controversy over the marathon selections. I don't know who was in the room when the decisions were made, but I'm told that I have heard that none of the people in the room was an expert in marathons.
Wow.
So I don't know.
Well, speaking of marathons, our final topic on Athletics Chat 49 is a fun one. Tell me about the pacemaker.
Well, Jake Smith is 22, and he ran a PB in the 1500. He ran 350, and 4 days later, he was asked if he would pace a marathon, and he said he would do the first 25K. But he was going so well when he got to 25, he kept on going, and he finished in 2:11 and won the race.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome.
It's just a nice story.
And what's his name again?
Jake Smith.
Now, didn't Jake run with Calum Hawkins to help pace the?
He may well have done. I don't know.
Trials too?
Yeah, may well have done. Yeah, may well have done.
He's a quite talented young man. So 2:11 is a pretty impressive opener.
Well, 2:11 is pretty impressive when you weren't planning to do it.
That is, Stuart. That is the perfect way to end Athletics Chat number 49, my friend. Stay safe. I hope you get some golf this week, and perhaps a glass of Sauvignon and blog. And this is Larry Eder for RunBlogRun with Stuart Weir. This is our this is Athletics Chat 49. Boy, I tell you, my brain is, I need another cup of coffee. But this is Athletics Chat 49. If you like us at Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you love us, subscribe on YouTube. Stuart, thank you again. Enjoy Oxford and enjoy your evening. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Hey, sports fans, Larry Eder, you got it. It's the epilogue for Athletics Chat number 49. And I know you're excited about it. I am too. We did it a little earlier today. And so Stuart was much happier with me, although it was a couple days later. But here are our topics: World Relays preview. What we agreed on is that we love the World Relays concept. This year we can't tell if it's a little diluted just because of the pandemic, or because there's just too much stuff on the screen of events, the schedule around the year. What the event is valuable, what the event is most important for, who it is most important for, excuse me, get to that word yet, is the following. If you've got a 4x1 or 4x4 and you're trying to qualify for the Olympics, that's what this event's about. I think the permanent home should be the Bahamas. I think the World Athletics should put some money in there. In May, the Bahamas is a great place to sit on a beach, great place to run, and the track rocked. And it's kind of cool. It would be kind of cool to have the event in the Cree. But I also think the Olympics should be in Athens every 4 years. So I just think that we need to get to this place where we go, come on, kids, stop traveling around. We can have certain events at different places, but let's be realistic about it. Okay. So World Relays, I was a little disappointed, but I understand USATF not sending a team. I don't have an issue with that. I just have an issue with how little what I felt respect was given to the World Relays by USATF. USATF is the top track team in the world. It should be leading. A lot of times it follows. It just follows too much or it keeps its mouth quiet. And I know they're trying to stay out of controversy. And I'm a very partisan Team USA person. I just want them to stand up to where they're supposed to be. Okay. Tokyo update. Look, the IOC is like the Vatican press department. No one knows what the hell they're saying. And then you add that to the Tokyo LOC and the Japanese government. Two of my biggest clients are Japanese. I've worked with them for close to 30 years. And what I learned in studying Japanese culture was that there were absolutely many ways in Japanese culture to say no to a Westerner, and we have no clue. And right now, they're in the fight of their life over this pandemic. 10 prefectures in Tokyo are under lockdown. The test event on May 9th will probably have no fans because the lockdown is until the 11th. And the bottom line is that I'm expecting some big announcements from Tokyo. I think that they're going to totally limit the number of media that can go to Japan, one. Two, if they allow anybody but NBC people to go. And two, I think that there's the possibility it can still be closed down as much as people think, Larry, you're smoking crack. So we'll have to see. Three, Drake Relays rocked this year. Great job, guys. And I love the amount of media content you gave us. I'm still working on some of the things. I'm going to do some nice features around them as well. So I'm kind of excited. But hats off to Morgan Mcdonald, former UW Badger, 4-time NCAA champion, ran a meet record of 13:21:55, took control with 600 to go, but ran confidently the whole time. And the thing is, it's like he had this almost horrific, scary injury down in Austin as he was getting ready for the trial of miles. And that he's running so well. Guy's a stud. Anyway, Morgan, we'll have a beverage sometime when I'm back out in Wisconsin. And Eugene, the Hayward Field continues to impress. Shawnee Miller Weibo in the rain. She had the 200 liter. Now she has the 400 liter. 49.08. My gosh. Lance, you're getting her into shape. Good job. And I love watching Shawnee run. She makes everything look so beautiful, but she also does this whole thing. She's like this warrior athlete. And each 100 meters, she gets a little faster. And when she comes down that final stretch, my gosh, good luck. Everybody should be having a sack lunch because she is cranking. I can't. We'll see a 48.7 from her before the Olympics. I mean, she's just incredible. Anniversary games. One of my favorite events is the anniversary games, and in London. Went to it for many years, but right now, the folks that are managing the stadium, the Queen Stadium, Queen Elizabeth II Olympic Stadium, offered British Athletics 1.5 million sterling, so about 2.6 mil, pretty much what they lost in 2019 when they did that World Cup thing and the anniversary games, and kind of emasculated the anniversary games. They'll pay British Athletics money to move it. The issue is this: the stadium seats about 80,000. With the pandemic, they'll be allowed to put 30,000 in. That could be 25 to 28,000 people. That will be a sellout. British Athletics fans are absolutely wank crazy, and they're fun. I mean, I love going to meets in the UK. It's one of my favorite places to go, but they're bonkers, and they would line up for this thing. So there's no other place that can, do I love going any other place in the UK? Sure, Glasgow's fun. And I think Gateshead would be a blast, but they just don't have the seating. They couldn't put a big crowd in there. So we'll have to see what's going to happen. And then we have Jake Smith. This is what puts a smile on my face. Jake helped pace the British trials with Caleb Hawkins. Well, he ran a 3:50 for the 1500. 4 days later, he's running 25K of a marathon. And he goes, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good at 25K. I'll go to 17 miles. He's at 17 miles, and he keeps going. And he wins. Debut, 2:11. Just under 5-minute per mile pace. Pretty impressive. Jake, good job. So that concludes the epilogue. Athletics Chat number 49. Thanks to Mike Deering today. Thanks to Stuart Weir. If you like Run Blog Run, like us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you love us, subscribe on the YouTube channel. We have 2,500 plus audios and videos over the last 10, 11 years. And we have about, audio and video last year, just under 400. So there's something for everybody. Thanks again. Stay safe. Exercise. Hydrate. Talk to you soon.